I'm going to start with a story I hear a lot from drummers who are trying to upgrade their kit. They see a gorgeous picture of a sleek drum set on a listing, they picture themselves nailing a gig, and then when the boxes finally arrive the shells feel thinner, the toms don't sit as comfortably in the rack, and the whole thing just doesn't deliver the punch they expected. It's that moment of why did I spend so much on a set that feels off, that makes me want to dig deeper before I click add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Gretsch Renown 4-piece shell pack with the 22-inch kick is one of those kits that sits right in the middle of that dilemma. It's marketed as a professional-grade set that looks great in a glossy natural finish, but for many hobbyists and gigging players the real question is whether the sound, the hardware, and the overall adaptability live up to the price tag. What I tried to figure out was, does this kit actually give you a solid foundation for both studio work and live play, or does it end up being a pretty face that you'll have to spend extra money on to make it truly usable? First off, let's talk about the layout. The package includes a 22-inch bass drum, a 16-inch floor tom, a 12-inch mounted tom, and a 10-inch mounted tom. At a glance, that's a pretty balanced configuration for a small to medium band setting. The 22-inch kick gives you enough low-end thump to cut through a PA mix, while the 16-inch floor tom adds the deep, resonant tone you want for fills. The two mounted toms sit nicely on a standard rack, which means you won't need any exotic hardware to get them up and running. In my hands, the biggest practical strength of this kit is the tonal consistency across the shells. Gretsch's famous 5-ply maple veneer, even though it's not a high-end custom shop construction, does a decent job of delivering warm mids and crisp highs. When you hit the 10-inch tom, you get a punchy attack that is perfect for indie rock or pop songs where you need quick, articulate notes. The 12-inch tom fills the gap nicely, giving a bit more body without muddying the mix. And the floor tom has a full, rounded low that works well when you're playing louder material. The sound is surprisingly versatile for a kit that's marketed as an entry-tom mid-range option. However, there are hidden trade-offs that you'll notice once you start using the set every day. The hardware that comes with the Renown pack is the basic Gretsch Classic hardware, which is functional but not as robust as the premium options you'll find on higher-priced kits. The rack can feel a little wobbly if you're aggressive with your playing, and you might find yourself tightening the tension bolts more often than you'd like. That's something you'll need to watch if you plan to gig regularly or if you're a heavy hitter. Also, the 22-inch kick comes with standard kick pedal hardware, which is fine for beginners but may feel a bit limiting for players who prefer a more customizable pedal system. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's a cost you'll have to factor in if you're looking for a more refined setup. Who should buy this kit? If you're a gigging drummer who needs a portable, decent-sounding kit for small to medium venues, this could be a solid choice. The natural gloss finish looks great on stage, and the overall weight of the shells is manageable enough to load into a van with a few other mics and cables. It's also a good fit for a home studio where space is at a premium. The 4-piece layout provides the essential tones without taking up a full drum room. For players who are just getting serious about playing live and want a drum set that looks professional without breaking the bank, the Renown pack hits the sweet spot. On the flip side, if you're a seasoned session player who relies on a very specific tonal palette where you need heavy-duty hardware that can survive relentless touring, you might want to look elsewhere. The standard hardware and the basic pedal setup might require you to upgrade in a few months, which could negate the initial savings. Also, drummers who favor a larger kit think 5 or more pieces, or a larger bass drum will find the 22-inch kick a bit undersized for genres like metal or hard rock where a deeper thump is essential. In those cases, you'd be better off spending a bit more upfront on a bigger shell set. Another practical consideration is the finish. The gloss natural look is visually striking, but it does show fingerprints and smudges fairly quickly. If you're someone who's constantly moving the kit around, you may find yourself wiping down the shells after each session to keep that showroom shine. It's not a performance issue, but it does add a small maintenance chore that some drummers forget they'll have to deal with.